This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our podcast on needs and boundaries, a roadmap for all relationships. So this is really cool because what I wanted was to find a way that we can make it as simple as possible to navigate this really complex world of all our different types of relationships. And what makes relationships particularly complex is that when we're growing up, when we're a baby and the mind is starting to acquire the capacity as we move in toddler, young child, the mind's starting to ferociously acquire information and to assimilate it into concepts. So, this is the dog, this is the sky, this is the boy, this is the girl. And these concepts are starting to form the whole structure of our world. And the most fundamental concept of all is that concept of me, the I, of what I am. And that, as an unquestioned belief system, incorporates all of the input that is just unquestioningly received and assimilated and converted into this belief of what I am. And the world that I operates in is made of the same belief system, the same conditioning as the I itself. And that's what makes relationships so complicated, because not only is the I, that belief of what I am, that me, this sort of separate identity, that whenever I say the word me or I, like all of the stuff that is just unquestioningly crammed into that, all of the things that have been absorbed from parents and siblings and school and media and comparisons with different people, it's all in there. So not only is that the lens through which everything is experienced, the people in the here and now, in my immediate reality, are the representatives of the past. So the more the mind is lost in its belief system, the more every interaction and every conversation and every individual, every group is also seeing through that same conditioning. And so the mind isn't really dealing with the reality of self and the reality of other. It is in a continuous struggle to protect the I identity, to make it feel secure, to get what it feels it needs, and to push away what looks to be threatening within a reality, within a world that is only ever a mirror of that same belief system. And this is why relationships are so hard, because that's not obvious to the mind. It's not obvious that it's operating out of a belief system, out of a conditioned acquisition of me and them. It just looks like reality. It just looks like this is what I am, this is what they are, this is my issue, this is what I have to get, this is why they're wrong, this is why I'm right, this is why I'm wrong, why they're right. That just looks like reality. And it's not. It's really not. And it's very true to say that the more the focus is in on that self, so the more vulnerable it's feeling, the more these relationships seem to have a sort of survival threat in them, that I desperately need something from these people, or I must desperately avoid something. So the real focus of all attention is on protecting that sense of separate me, trying to manipulate the world around it so that it can get what it wants, the more out of reality the mind is. So this is the thing. The more desperate things look, and I'm not talking physical survival. I'm not talking dangerous relationships or abuse or violence. That we take at face value every time. But survival, psychological survival, we can't take it at face value because it's not operating in reality. And the relationships that it's in are just mirror images of a belief system. So our first consideration is that the more my psychological existence seems to be under threat, the more removed from reality the mind is in that moment. The stress, the tension, the resentment, the desperation, the need, the insecurity is saying, okay, mind is temporarily insane right now. We're going to really see what will bring it back to reality rather than try to get what we need in these moments, try to struggle and fight and put all the resources into trying to achieve what we think we need. So that's our first point. For our second point, we're going to take a step back and look at the construction itself of the existence, of the sense of being. And there's three things that we can consider. The first is the absolute. So the absolute is what is in constant existence prior to the ever-changing content of mind. So it's really what is enabling the experience of being me. And different teachers refer to different aspects, but we can consider that the absolute is consciousness, it's intelligence, it's life or aliveness, it's beingness, it's presence, it's love. All of these things are not things. They're prior to any definition, prior to any conceptualization, and yet there's an understanding in the mind that there is intelligence, there is aliveness, there is consciousness. It's boundaryless, it's unchanging, it's impossible to see even or pin down, it's intangible. And yet there's this sense that that is the only constant. And then there's the relative world. There's a relative world of bodies and relationships and people and conversations and words. And we're not denying that relative world. We wake up in the morning and there's kids or there's a job to go to with colleagues, there's a boss, there's a partner, a wife or a husband, boyfriend or girlfriend, there's friendships, there might be people in hobbies that we do, there's people in the street, shopkeepers, a postman. There's a world of people, and that world has an existence. It has a relativity. There is a substance to it. And yet we can see that the way that world appears depends so completely on the perceiver. And this is where it gets really interesting for relationships, is that we can see that the lens through which any relationship is viewed is literally creating the nature of that relationship. And then we've got the illusory. Then we've got this idea of what I am, this conceptual idea, which, as we looked at just now, is being formed through childhood. It's an acquisition of beliefs. It's a psychological construct. And that's a belief system of me as a separate entity. And we're going to consider in this simple roadmap for all relationships that those three aspects of existence hold the key to everything becoming so much more simple, so much easier, so much more straightforward. because we're looking at the fact that trying to secure the illusory self in a reality that is only ever made of the same conditioning as that illusory self is absolutely hopeless. Absolutely hopeless, can never be done. And the more we try, so the more resources that are put into that effort at trying to get what we think we need from these relationships, the more separation is experienced. And there's an interesting example at the moment on Married at First Sight UK, where there's a girl called Nellie who right from the start has said, I'm really insecure. I'm always being abandoned in relationships. I really need a lot of attention and reinforcement. So she's basically trying to secure that individual identity through a relationship. And it can't be done. It really can't be done. And even if it looks momentarily like they've just been on the couch having, they've had a good week, but it can't, over time, that little hit of having enough attention, having enough acknowledgement, affirmation, it's not sustainable. And the worst thing about it is it means that when really the whole driving force of a relationship is to secure me, the other person is completely irrelevant. They don't exist as who they really are in this relationship. They only exist as the means through which I'm going to get what I think I need in order to find wholeness. And it can't be done. The burden on the other person's shoulders is too great. And the absence really of any real interest in that person other than as a device to secure me is too dysfunctional as a basis for any relationship. So there's Nellie, poor thing, trying, like so many of us are in different relationships. For her, it's a romantic relationship. For others, it might be professionally. We need to get, we feel like we have to have that affirmation that we're doing a good job, that we're right, that we're worthy, that we're valued. It might be in our families, from our parents or from our kids. It might be from our friends. We might need to feel that we're popular, that we're invited along, that we're accepted. It doesn't matter what the type of relationship is, and it will be dictated by how that self-idea was formed when we were younger, where it looked least secure, where there was most existential threat will play out in our current reality. But nevertheless, whichever type of relationship we're talking about, when the focus is on trying to find wholeness in like securing separation, securing the idea of a separate me, these people in these, the people we're in relationships with are simply devices to bolster the ego, effectively, bolster an insecure ego. So it's not. It's coming from a sort of childlike sense of helplessness, really, of hopelessness. There's nothing malevolent in it. It's desperation. It just looks like the only way that I'm going to find any sort of peace or happiness, but it's completely hopeless. And so the needs that relate to the idea of me can never be secured, can never be fulfilled. And when they are the driving force of relationships, all that's going to happen is the relationship is going to continue to reinforce that insecure belief system. It's going to provide more evidence that all the things that make up that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not right, there's something wrong with me, I'm never going to have this relationship that I want, I'm never going to have this future I want. All that just gets reinforced. So These relationships repeat over and over and over again, reinforcing the belief system, making it harder to go into the next one, over and over. And the way that ends is when that starts being seen. It's really categorical. That cannot be secured. There is no hope. No matter, even if, we might be in this relationship and they're like feeling so good and they're giving us so many compliments, but tune in, like really what is being secured, what that personal level of I feel good, I feel worthy, I feel right. What is that I? Really, what is that I that's being secured? It's a concept of me. And it has no reality. The only reality of me is the absolute intelligence, consciousness, aliveness, beingness, localized in a form, in a body that is impersonal. There's no one deciding independently to look like this or to make this happen or to say words in this way. These behaviors are just happening. So the idea of a separate me, it's got no substance to it, nothing. So we're starting to look now, there's this crossroads, these needs, this desperation, the strategizing, the seeking to secure an idea of me is hopeless. So those needs in a relationship, not only will they never be fulfilled, they are creating all the problems. They are obliterating the people we're in a relationship with. They're replacing them with projections from our past, from our childhood. And these needs are maintaining in place a fixed idea of me and them, in which no peace, no security, no truth, no sanity is ever going to be found. And that is not a reason to give up on relationships. Not in any way. It's the opposite, because the importance of relationships, the vital gift that they bring is that they allow that to be seen. They allow that to play out and to be recognized. And so relationships start to take on a different purpose. So instead of being the means through which I'm going to secure myself, they become the energetic, engaged, interactive space in which that play out of insecurity, of shame, of fear, of need can be witnessed. And so it's witnessed. It's not trying to be solved. It's just being seen. Really, it's the child is being seen. And now we can start looking at boundaries and what do I want? And the more that the mind can shift away from these intangible, unfulfillable needs, like I want him to respect me. I want to feel that he loves me. I want to feel that I'm important, because the mind is trying to imagine itself in someone else's mind, represented in someone else's mind, and to secure the sense of being through that imagined concept in someone else's mind. If he loves me enough, then I'll be okay. If my boss respects me enough, then I'm a good person. If my friends think that I'm fun and want to include me, then I know that I'm worthy. Impossible. We do not exist as that concept in someone else's mind. And the more clearly all of this can be seen, the more brilliant relationships are, because they start to really bring this alive and show everything that's going on. And we can still ask for what we want. But it becomes now more and more specific and more related to the relative world of behavior and actions and cups in the dishwasher, lids on the toothpaste, whatever it is, the actions can be asked for, which is so much easier for the people we're in relationships with, because instead of that impossible really to fulfill or even to define, I want to know you respect me. How's that meant to be acted out? Instead of that, which we can now start to see as an unfulfillable need, we can start to be really specific. I want to, if you tell me that you're going to be home at a certain time, I really need to be able to rely on that. I want you to tell me if you're going to be late, or I want you to give me feedback directly on my work instead of going to my boss. I gave you that. I would really like to have that directly from you. We can ask for really specific behaviors, and boundaries can be stated in terms of actions, in terms of the substance, the form that can be protected through boundaries. And because all mind bodies are bundles of conditioning, learning can happen. The mind can really grasp these requests, and there can be conversations. And if it doesn't work for the other person, they can say, and then it might be that the nature of relationships change accordingly. But the huge thing for us is that we can start seeing that needs relating to finding wholeness in separation, securing that conceptual idea of me, can never be met. And it starts to shift everything into a world of relative form where there can be very clear boundaries, very clear requests, clear statements of what we want. And that is the really simple roadmap for all relationships. Every single relationship in our lives will become, the more we go in this exploration, the more the mind tunes into it, they become the field, the place of revelation where that distinction starts to become more and more clear, and where the mind is really freed up, and really where the magical reality of everything we've ever wanted in any relationship starts to be really visibly here, because now there's nothing obscuring it. There's no projection, there's no belief system, there's no focus on an illusion that is hiding the actual truth. So yeah, I really love this, and hopefully one day the experts at Married at First Sight are going to catch up with it, because at the moment they're not giving good advice. This is it. This is the key to all relationships. It's right here. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Lots of love. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.